Words, my words lost in me.
Hello, welcome to Song Breakdown. I'm with Jovanni Cardenas, and we are talking about the track Disappear. So Jovanni, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, doing good. You know, it's a Tuesday and starting off the week strong, so can't complain. How are you?
Love it. Yeah, I'm doing good too. Yeah, we've been releasing a couple different podcasts as of late, so I'm excited to do another song breakdown. This is a series that's been fun because naturally when I hear a new song that we're either adding to our library or it's just like a song by a friend, I'm always generating these questions in my head like, oh, I wonder how they did that, or I wonder how they did this. So in your case, I think I was really drawn to your lyrics. Like Mo and I talk about how, like, for me at least, I legitimately get chills when I hear the like first 45 seconds of this song, and then Mo will hear it in the background while I'm playing it, and she'll tell me like, wait, for a second I thought, man, that song is so cool, I wish we represented that artist. And then she'll like remember it's you. And so it's so cool. It's one of those tracks that just, it sounds like it's been a song for a while. Like it doesn't sound like a new artist. It sounds like an established artist. It has a really unique perspective. It has great lyrics. So let's focus on the lyrics. What's your process of writing song lyrics?
So with me, I think I live like a very true like singer-songwriter life. And I say that because I usually write when I go through stuff, whether that be heartbreaks or whether that be like I'm in a great mood because I came back from a trip or something. Like I get very heavily inspired to write at those moments, and I write all the time, but I think the ones that actually make the cut, that actually make the songs on the list and on my catalog, are the ones that actually are very, very memorable, to where every lyric is true, whether that be about me or I've seen maybe my friend go through something. I'll write it in the perspective of me, but it's not about me. But I try to make it relatable and make it a very good story for the most part. I like to narrate a lot. But I would say, yeah, my process usually entails going through something, going back home, and like just dumping everything onto in my studio, like whether that be starting with guitar or starting with the words or just visualizing the moments I had with that person. It's a lot of different ways, but it all comes down to actually going through stuff. So I always like to experience stuff as well. So I go on trips a lot, I travel a lot. I love to hang out with friends and just love to go through things, because I think it's very important as a songwriter to have a lot of stuff to write about. And I feel like it's hardest to write when I have not been going through anything. Like I just try to like pick up the old ideas that I used to always recycle and things like that. And I have like a limited amount of material to work with. But when I go through things, it's very easy to have new inspiration, whether that be coming from like a sad place or a happy place. Like it's all, I think, the same. Like it's a very good way to have inspiration for like the long run.
Right. Yeah. I was listening to a Rick Beato episode on YouTube, and the guest was talking about how you need to, as a writer and a musician, have more input than you do output. Meaning, like for him as a writer of books, he said, and a music reviewer, the guest was saying, yeah, I listen to like music all day before I even began to write, my next story. And maybe I'll write for 3 hours at the end of the day. But most of the process is finding inspiration through absorbing other art, other content. And I found that to be true for myself. It's like the best solution for me with writer's block is to read like poems or get into reading lyrics or watch a film, or because it just kind of like jostles loose those ideas that are blocked, So then, yeah, tell us a little bit about the production process. Did you produce this yourself, and did you record all the instruments?
Yes, I did. So when it came to the production, I produced it here in my studio in my house, and I used Logic, and I You can't really see, but I have a ton of guitars back here. I have one over here, but I have like 10 more like here and like 2 over here. And it's always fun to experiment with different guitars, and a lot of them are in different tunings. So I was messing around with the tuning at the time when I was making this song, and it just so happened that I went through something. I was coming back from a date, and it didn't go that well, and it was very one-sided. And I came back and I was like, man, like I really gotta treat myself better. I gotta find someone that really reciprocates the energy that I give, because I'm a huge giver. Like and I'm very easy to trust. Like I trust somebody like off the bat, which isn't always good, but I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt that they're a good person until they show me otherwise. But in this case, it was a bad date, and I was like I was going on a couple of dates. And I was like, man, I'm just tired. Like, I need to step out of the situation and like disappear. And then it started with that. And I was like, oh, dang, like, okay, like we're getting a song together. And then I just started playing something with a new tuning. And it just came together very quickly. And I laid down the whole guitar for the song. And I double tracked it. So I like to do like a left and a right for the guitars. And then I came up with the melody of the post chorus, the dun 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 dun, that part I came up with as well. And from there, everything just kind of fit into puzzle pieces, and I was just finding the right puzzle pieces for every step, and it was very seamless. And I think this song was done in less than an hour in terms of writing the whole thing and coming up with the melodies. And in my head, I already had the arrangement. I was like, okay, like we're gonna start small, start with just me and my guitar. And then have I love like the breaks, like having a break and then big chorus. Like I really love that. So I really wanted to do that with this song, and it fit perfectly. Like when I was writing it and I did the break, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we're definitely going to add drums here. We're going to add, harmonies and things like that. So it was very fluid, and it was like the ideas were coming to me very articulated, and that doesn't happen often. Sometimes songs could take me a few months to like really figure out how I want to arrange it. But this one was very quick. And then I was very inspired and had a lot of time. So I produced it all probably like within a couple weeks. Like I was able to get everything, like final comps of vocals and like the guitar layers and drums and everything. And then I mixed it and mastered it, and I already had that one ready to go. And this was actually the start of all the other songs that I've come out with in the past like 6-7 months. This is what started it, and then I came out with a lot of other songs based off of this premise and this feeling and the soundscapes. And like Disappear was the one that pioneered this whole era of music. So it was really cool to have that very candid moment of like, oh wow, this song came out of nothing very quick, and now we're like rolling. Like now this whole concept of like this project came to life in a matter of an hour. And I think that's like the coolest part of doing it like DIY and doing it yourself sometimes, because like it's like, oh wow, like everything is in your control. If I really wanted to come out with something like this grand, like with this many songs, I could do that like that. So it feels really good to be able to have that.
Right. Yeah. And one thing that I've been noticing more is a great mix and a great production needs great lyrics. Like just harping back on what I think your strength is, which is the music and the arrangement benefits when the words make sense as in the flow of the conversation, like the lyrical conversation, because then that helps create that like goosebumps feeling that I get when you get to the chorus or when you finish a verse, or when, the listeners following along your thought process, as you're emoting the feeling of Disappear, line to line, the audience is following along with you, and then we're arriving at the same conclusion that you are when we get to the chorus. And I think all those things, when you're a DIY producer, songwriter, producer, the best advantage you can give yourself as an independent artist is to write lyrics that mean something, that have a perspective, that have a unique voice. And, I brought it up on my phone, but like your first, tell me if these lyrics are right. This is from Google, but When you kiss me, do you mean it, or am I just for show? Do you care about my feelings when I'm truly feeling all alone? I don't really think so. I don't like the way you've been acting. I'm sick of using payphones just to hear a cheap reaction. I'll cut the wire since my words lost their meaning. Put out the fire that almost reached the ceiling. You must be tired. Don't worry, I'll disappear. So you have all these really cool conversational moments, but the way that your vocal doubles, it sounds really, really haunting. So, another singer could sing these lyrics and maybe it'll sound poppier or it'll sound like more like a rock song, but the way you recorded your vocal on these tracks, it sounds really ghostly. So what microphone are you using on your voice? And then 2, is there any standout plugin that you felt like really brought together the vocal sound for you?
Yeah, so I believe I used the Slate Raven.
Sick.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
It's a mic that I got from my brother when he was making music, and he passed it down to me, and I've been using it for the past couple of years. And I've learned to work with that mic before. So this mic is naturally very harsh, and it has a lot of sibilance to it. So I learned to tame that, and I really learned how to use this mic. And it apparently comes with mods, and you can modulate it to have different mic sounds. But you have to have iLok, and I don't have that, so I had to stick with the OG version of the mic, which is cool. But I wish I had the other ones. But I work with that. And then in terms of processing, to get that haunting sound, I think a lot of it comes with the inflections of the vocals. And I recorded this at a time when I wasn't taking vocal lessons, so my voice is very different now. But before, when I was at this point, I was very I love the delicate kind of singing. So I would sing kind of quietly and airy. And I would purposely try to do that. And I felt like it helped with sending the message of what I'm trying to feel or have the listeners feel and what I was feeling at the time. And I think that kind of vocal delivery really helped with that. So that was the main thing, is making sure I had the inflections of my vocals right. The way I wanted to sing it was, captured on the mic. So that was the biggest one. But then in terms of vocals, it's honestly very basic. I use CLA compression by
Waves, the Chris Lord Alge. Was it his LA2A? What does he call that? Or are you using the vocal processor?
The vocal processor is just CLA vocals.
Okay. And then you're using the compressor on that?
Mm-hmm. I'm using
that thing sounds great. I've used that on songs before in the past, and I know of. It's whenever you see a producer breakdown, that's pretty often used on stuff, especially when someone's just trying to get a sound quickly. The way it just processes a vocal so fast is a really great tool.
Definitely. So I would say that was a big driver of the processing in terms of the crispness of it, and then I have basic EQ, stock EQ from Logic.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
do you have a certain EQ move that you find yourself doing with that Steven Slate Raven microphone? Are you cutting, 7 or 10K, or what do you generally like to do when you're EQing your own voice?
So I cut a lot of, and I just have the session pulled up here, so I'm looking at it, but I cut a lot of 3 to 4K.
Cool.
I like it just a little bit, 3 to 4K, and I also cut around 5 to 800. And then I'll cut the low end as well. And then that's usually for the main vocals. And then with harmony stacks, I'll usually cut a lot more, around 10K. And then also at 2 to 3K and around the blockier 2 to 300. I'll cut those as well. But I think a lot of it is also the way that I place myself on the mic. So with main vocals, I tend to be kind of close, and then with harmonies or a chorus, I'll be a little bit more back, and that helps with mitigating the amount of harshness that I get from the mic. So it's a lot easier of a cleanup job when I am processing the vocals and cleaning it up. And then aside from the EQ, I use a de-esser, a basic de-esser. And then I have this one. I don't know if you're familiar with virtual mix racks.
By Steven Slate as well.
Yeah, so I use that on top as well. And then I have this preset called Gentle Vocal that I use on it. And then in terms of like buses and stuff, I use just a reverb from Valhalla. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I use the reverb from Valhalla, and then honestly, that's pretty much it. Like that's with the vocals. And then in terms of the panning, like for the first verse, I have like one in the middle, and then one not hard left. It's like a -20, and then like +20. Like so, I have like a triple. And I just made sure to try to get them as close to the original middle take as possible, so that but at the same time it's a little bit different, so that's why it sounds haunting, because like they're not the same take. I would say that's the key to having that sound, at least for my songs, is being able to have those triples, but at the same time they're all a little bit different. Like if you were to solo them out, you could, like, some of them are even different pitches. I do a different thing when I say a word, and like they sound different, but like you wouldn't really be able to hear it unless you soloed it.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's this video game that's out right now by Xbox called Senua's Saga, and she hears voices in her head, and they're all kind of telling her different things, and I feel like you get that haunting effect in a similar way as a singer when you have all these different voices saying the same words but making slightly different choices. If it's really intentional, you could get that like psychological effect of, you know, being haunted by the voices in your head in a way, versus if they're really, really precise, so precise that like the average listener wouldn't be able to discern that there's multiple takes. But when you hear the multiple takes really easily, it can create that haunting effect that, you know, we're talking about. But well, thank you for breaking down the track. This was super fun and interesting to hear about how you did it and how you created the sound. So I want to have more discussions with you here on the channel about production, and maybe we could even do an episode about your microphone, because that sounds really interesting. But where can our audience follow you if they want to keep up with your music and all of that?
Yeah, and I would love to do more of these kinds of videos as well. But I would say the best place to find me would probably be Instagram, and my handle is Jovanni, JOVANNIX, and Cardenas, CARDENAS. And I always spell it out because like it's like super long. So like I'm just like, oh, and you're probably not gonna spell Jovanni right. Most of the time it's like they start with G, and I'm like, no, like you got a J. but yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again for hopping on and breaking down this track. Congrats on the song. I think it's an amazing song. And when I first heard it, I saw it on Instagram and I messaged you, but it was you don't hear a lot of like tracks like that on social media, because social media can kind of steer artists in a more kind of poppy, a little bit more I don't know, everything starts to sound similar in a way, and this track really stood out. So this is really fun for me to be able to sit down and talk with you and get to know you and your process. So thanks again for doing this. And for those of you guys watching at home, please subscribe, check out Jovanni's socials and music, and subscribe over here to our channel, and we will see you guys all next time. Talk to you later. Bye.